Hey guys, this is Andrew Aversa, and today I'm going to show you how to make dirty bass sounds in Zebra 2. A lot of people use Massive for genres like dubstep, electro house, big beat, but the thing is, Zebra is actually quite capable for this kind of stuff, and I want to see it get more attention. First thing to do is to load a single oscillator and then start playing with the wavetable. Now, if you've used Massive, you know that Massive is a wavetable synth, and you load preset wavetables, which you can scan through, automate, that sort of thing. Zebra 2 takes that one step further because you can actually draw in your own wavetables. You're not just stuck with what the factory bank is. So in this case, we have all saw waves, which is not too interesting. Now let's say we draw in a square wave here. Now let's hold Alt and click from one side to the other. Now you have a interpolated wavetable. So that's sort of like the basic saw square waveform of Massive. But what we're going to do is something a little bit more interesting. We're going to use the Spectro Blend tool, which allows you to draw your own harmonic table. And we're going to make some sort of weird additive waveforms, and these are going to get processed more. So this part is a little bit of trial and error. The low end here would be the basic fundamental and low harmonics, and up here, of course, is the higher harmonics. We'll have to turn up the volume. So this is going to be quiet at first. I'm going to turn it to crisp, high resolution. Okay, that sounds pretty good. And now we want a waveform that's similar in frequency content, but has a different sort of shape to it. For comparison. Oops. Let's interpolate between those and then see what that sounds like just sweeping through manually. Okay, we have some nice additive waves here. So we're going to add an LFO up here to modulate that wavetable automatically. I'll change the waveform to a triangle so that we get a little bit more even modulation. So you can tell already that this sounds like a pretty gritty waveform, even with no filters, no effects, nothing like that. Now, before we get to those other things, we're going to use oscillator effects. And these are unique to Zebra, and it's a great way to make the already sort of interesting moving wavetable even more gritty and even more motion. We'll have to experiment with a few different effects here. We can try modulating a few sort of quick and dirty. All right, let's keep moving. So I like symmetry with those values. I'm going to change that to none for now and experiment with a few more things. Now this one has a sort of a format filter kind of effect. Now, just for fun, we'll try putting symmetry back on. So that sounds pretty good already. Without symmetry. Okay, now, let's try adding a filter. This would be a pretty standard sort of dubstep low pass. If we change this to gate here on the LFO, it's going to start from the same place each time, which can be useful if you're playing things in live. We'll try changing this back to sine too. Alright, so that sounds pretty nasty, pretty dirty, but I think we can do a lot better. Let's try changing this to a bandpass. Again, turn the volume up. Add some distortion. Play around with these settings. Okay, now that sounds more like a dubstep bass. But there's not a lot of low frequency content because we're using a bandpass filter. So the solution is just to add another oscillator. That is very maxed out, so we might bring down the brilliance of this oscillator. And we can even add a stereo effect. Or if that sounds still a little too abrasive, we can just change this back to a very simple sine wave. And now just for a little bit of extra stereo effect, let's load up a reverb. You can play around with the feedback and dampening settings. So there you go. You can save this as something like Dirty Dub Bass. I'll just show you a few other examples of stuff I did recently. This one uses the VCF1 sample reduction decimate filter, which is new in a recent version of Zebra. I have another dubstep bass I did. I was just sort of playing with this one. This uses a format filter, which makes it pretty interesting if we take away these elements. You can see that there's a vowel control, and that's also called drive if you do it from the mod matrix, and that's just being modulated with an LFO. So it sounds pretty cool. And then I just had a couple more. For example, this. And this really isn't modulated much at all in terms of the filter cutoff, but it just sounds really, really gritty. And that's, again, thanks to controls like turbulence, symmetry. We've got FM going on through the FM oscillator on the other channel, and again, that SR decimate filter. And lastly, here is an example of, actually I had two examples of XMF filters being used with the overload function, which really adds a lot of grit very quickly. And with these, I believe I just used saw wave as the bass, and I didn't really even use oscillator effects too much. Instead, most of the grit is coming from, again, the format and decimate filters, and then the XMF overload and filter FM, plus just some standard wave shaping. This is yet another one with the same kind of chain, but just with some of the settings changed, so tweaking some knobs here and there. But fundamentally, it's the same kind of signal flow. Alright, so there you go. That's how you make dirty basses in Zebra 2. As always, these are just my own ideas. This is my own approach. So there's no wrong way to do it. I'm sure you can use all sorts of methods to get distorted sounds. And if you use external plugins like Omicide, Voxengo Boogex, even just whatever comes with your host, you can get some incredible layered sounds, since some people consider Zebra's distortion to be, you know, not the best, but as you can see here, if you combine it with some of the built-in filter modules and wavetables, oscillator effects, it sounds just as good as any other synth. So there you go. Till next time.